lot of times when you fear something, it can control you. And it can control you more than you let God control you. So you might fear what your spouse thinks of you, what your children think of you, what your parents think of you. If you're putting that ahead of what God thinks of you, then you're in the wrong place. Back into modern day life, salvation being rescued for something. What does salvation look like to like a drug addict? Maybe a person who's caught in human trafficking. It's not that they need to go to heaven, it's that they need to be freed from it. Salvation means something different for each person. It's not, it does mean go to heaven, don't get me wrong there. And then all those negative labels, all those things that people have said about you, and you're going to give them to God and you're nailed to the cross.
Okay.
And they're not yours anymore. Good morning. Back to the Shasta Valley Christian Fellowship.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are in Psalm 25 this morning. And this is another Psalm of David. And he's basically asking God for help with everyday troubles that he's got going on in his life. A lot of times we read about it, there's some major threat to him, but this time it seems more like he's looking for help with little things. So I'm going to go ahead and read the whole psalm, and then we'll go back through and pick it apart. All right, Psalm 25.
Okay.
Of David. In you, Lord my God, I put my trust. I trust in you. Do not let me be put to shame, nor let my enemies triumph over me. No one who hopes in you will ever be put to shame, but shame will come on those who are treacherous without cause. Show me your ways, Lord. Teach me your paths. Guide me in your truth and teach me, for you are God, my Savior, and my hope is in you all day long. Remember, Lord, your great mercy and love, for they are from of old. Do not remember the sins of my youth and my rebellious ways. According to your love, remember me. For you, Lord, are good. Good and upright is the Lord. Therefore, he instructs sinners in his ways. He guides the humble in what is right and teaches them his way. All the ways of the Lord are loving and faithful toward those who keep the demands of his covenant. For the sake of your name, Lord, forgive my iniquity, though it is great. Who, then, are those who fear the Lord? He will instruct them in the ways they should choose. They will spend their days in prosperity, and their descendants will inherit the land. The Lord confides in those who fear him. He makes his covenant known to them. My eyes are ever on the Lord, for he will release my feet from the snare. Turn to me and be gracious to me, for I am lonely and afflicted. Relieve the troubles of my heart and free me from my anguish. Look on my affliction and my distress, and take away my sins. See how numerous are my enemies, and how fiercely they hate me. Guard my life and rescue me. Do not let me be put to shame, for I take refuge in you. May integrity and uprightness protect me, because my hope, Lord, is in you. Deliver Israel, O God, from all their troubles. And that is Psalm 25. You guys have any questions on that before I jump into it?
That's absolutely beautiful.
It is. Yeah. So again, he's using Yahweh there for Lord.
19.
Huh?
The verse 19, I like that one.
Verse 19. See how numerous are my enemies and how fiercely they hate me.
And then the 20.
Guard my life and rescue me. Do not let me be put to shame, for I take refuge in you. Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah, so probably all of us could put ourselves into David's place as we're reading through this.
This is big, yes.
We get back to verse 1. In you, Lord, I put my trust. That Lord is the Yahweh. That's that personal God of Israel again. David had a very close relationship with God. And he put his trust in him repeatedly. He said, do not let me be put to shame. Now, when we think of shame, a lot of times, or most of the time, at least with us Americans, we usually associate with like embarrassment. Whereas in this time period, the word they're translating into shame would be more of making a bad decision, trusting in someone that didn't come through for you type of thing. That's where his shame is. So he's saying, I'm putting my trust in you, Lord. Do not let that turn to a shame on me. So no one who hopes in you will ever be put to shame, but shame will come on those who are treacherous without cause. Show me your ways, Lord, verse 4. Teach me your paths. Guide me in your truth and teach me, for you are God, my Savior, and my hope is in you all day. What's translated, the word's translated to teacher, is not like a student-teacher relationship type of teaching. The best word picture that they have for it would be like using a cattle prod on cattle to guide them. So what he's saying is, God, keep me on the right path, because he knows he's going to wander off, and he's God's guidance to bump him back onto the path. I guess they had goats. They didn't have cattle prods, but they had the goats that would do that.
Oh yeah, they don't have cattle prods.
No.
It would be much more effective with a cattle prod though.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I need a little shock.
I'll jolt you back in line.
My sister keeps me on track.
So verse 6, we start into these love things. Remember, Lord, your great mercy and love. They are from of old. And the different translations will translate these next verses differently. But each one of those, according to your love, and there's a couple others in there. Each time you see that word love, it has its root in a Hebrew word called hesed. So there's hesedekah and some others. But this isn't, again, this isn't like the touchy-feely kind of love. This is, it's referred to as an enduring love, a covenant love,
Unconditional?
unconditional love. I heard it described as the way a young mother looks at their newborn child, the love that she has for the newborn child. That's the kind of love that we're talking about here. And it gets translated different ways in the next few verses. Basically because the guys that are doing the translation are trying to grasp the entire complexity of it. Remember your Lord, your great mercy and love, for they are from of old. Do not remember the sins of my youth. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
that's
awesome.
I'm really yeah.
Man.
Thank
So
you,
I think we're all
God.
there. You know, it's like,
Thank
Lord,
you, God.
let's not talk about this area of my life back here. You know, we're just.
Oh, man.
Remember how good you are? How much you love me?
Yeah, you remember?
For some reason, I got my dog in my head now. All the little stuff he's doing wrong. It's like, don't you love me? Yeah. Verse 8, good and upright is the Lord, therefore he instructs sinners in his ways. So he knows the right way. He's instructing sinners how to go the right way. Now there is something on the people here too. When he's doing the instruction, you have to be instructable. It can't just fall on deaf ears, right?
Right.
Right.
I mean, you might be wondering why you're getting zapped all the time, and the whole time he's like cattle prod, you getting you to go, and you're like, dude, stop it. Moving on to verse 9.
Yeah, but
It kind of goes along with what I was saying there. He guides the humble in what is right and teaches them his way. So you got to have that humble spirit. You can't be the proud guy that knows it all, right?
Mhm.
You can't teach someone that knows it all,
That's right.
whether you think they do or not.
Oh, yeah.
What did somebody say? You can't fill up a cup that's already full or something?
That works, yeah.
Yeah.
Verse 10. All the ways of the Lord are loving and faithful toward those who keep the commands of his covenant. There's another verse that says, you know, all things work to good for those that love God. It's kind of the same way.
Romans 8:28.
yeah, that one.
This is an interesting one. Verse 11. For the sake of your name, Lord, forgive my iniquity, though it is great. The reason this is interesting is because if you were, let's say you robbed a bank and you got hauled in before a judge, and you said, Judge, can you forgive me because you're an honorable person? That's basically what he's saying here.
Well, he can be forgiven, but he also has to take his punishment.
Yeah, he does. But one thing we need to see here is on this whole forgiveness thing. We approach forgiveness from the place that we have been forgiven. Right? We've done something wrong, someone forgave us, we know how to forgive other people. God's never done anything that he needs to be forgiven for. But he still is able to forgive people.
So he can't even
So
see it
he's
from
on
that
a
point of view.
different level from us as far as forgiveness goes.
Right. I never thought of it from that point of view.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He can't relate.
Right. Right. I mean, he
Well,
knows.
yeah.
but-
I mean, he
yeah,
knows,
but
but
he
I
doesn't have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So who then, verse 12, who then are those who fear the Lord? He will instruct them in the ways they should choose. They will spend their days in prosperity, and their descendants will inherit the land. So the word fear, it's not the terrified fear that you might have, from running into something really scary.
But God is really scary.
This is a reverential type thing. This is standing in awe of God. So
But
there
it's
is
still,
like a fearful aspect to it, I guess.
yeah,
But
like,
it's not.
like the fearing of your dad.
See what?
It's like your
Like
parents.
being afraid of your dad because it's like, oh no, my dad's gonna be so mad at me.
Yeah, so you have
might
a
have
respect
Same
for
kind of
something.
fear. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna get you.
I've described it as like mountain lions and bears. I have a lot of respect for bears. I've been around them. I know how to be around them. I'm afraid of mountain lions
Well, yeah.
because those things are fast and they are unpredictable. And so I have fear, but I have respect for the bears. I with God, it's more of a respect thing for God. I'm not afraid to be around God. I don't want to cause him grief. I don't want to do anything that would make him look displeased on me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole father relationship. We all want our fathers to be proud of us. Type thing.
That's right.
So moving on to so 13, I already read it. They spend their days in prosperity.
Yep.
This isn't guaranteed for everyone. That if you're following God, you're going to live this prosperous life from a human perspective. There is a general rule, though, if you're following God's design, whatever his rules on how you use your money and stuff, you will have a prosperous life. As a general rule.
Kind of like when he talks about tithing, he says, "See if test me in this."
Yeah, so tithing is a good one. So if you're following God on tithing, he will bless you on that. There's other things there too about, not going into debt and that sort of thing.
What is the verse again that you just are referring to?
Verse 13, they will spend their days in prosperity and their descendants will inherit the land. So verse 14, the Lord confides in those who fear him. He makes his covenant known to them. Again, these are people that have a lot of respect for God. So now, if you're living kind of outside of God's plan for your life, and you're like, Lord, I need to know something, don't expect him to reveal it to you, because you haven't been following along this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So what you need to do, you need to get back on track for what God's plan is for your life, and then he'll start revealing stuff to you. I'm not saying that he won't, but I wouldn't expect it. God's God, he can do whatever he wants. If he wants to, he can reveal stuff to sinners too. I mean, people that are non-believers too. It's all up to him.
Yeah, one of the verses says that if you regard iniquity in your life, or if you regard iniquity, God will not hear you.
Yeah, that's. I think it's
So if you're actively sinning, you're not going to have a close relationship with the Lord.
Right.
And you're just going to have a broken line of communication with him if you're actively sinning.
Mm-hmm.
All of us sin, but then there's active sins too.
There's active and
Where
there's
you're not even
willful and-
trying.
Yeah.
Where you're not even
Trying to
trying. Not to sin.
Where you're not even trying to be righteous.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
You just don't even think about it.
Yeah.
You just go.
Just misbehaving.
So another side of the whole fear thing, I know I just got done telling you that it's not like being terrified of something, but a lot of times when you fear something, it can control you. And it can control you more than you let God control you. So you might fear what your spouse thinks of you, what your children think of you, what your parents think of you. And if you're putting that ahead of what God thinks of you, then you're in the wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
You need me to fear God more?
Yeah.
It's a hard one to swallow, I guess. All right. Verse 15. My eyes are ever on the Lord, for only He will release my feet from the snare. Again, this God's His way to freedom.
So is that saying that God is going to get us out of it?
Yeah.
Out of the trouble we get ourselves into sometimes?
Sometimes we get ourselves into it. Sometimes God will lead people into that. I will come back to that, I think. I think there's this verse here later on where we're going to talk about that.
Oh, I love
Gotcha.
babies. I love babies.
Verse 16. Turn to me and be gracious to me, for I am lonely and afflicted. Relieve the troubles of my heart and free me from my anguish. Look on my affliction and my distress and take away my sins. See how numerous are my enemies and how fiercely they hate me. Again, he's just crying out to God for the everyday stuff. He needs God's help with all the stuff that's going on. The NIV is missing a word here, and I'm trying to figure out which verse it's in.
Which,
Salvation. Do you guys' translations have the word salvation in it?
King James.
I remember seeing salvation before. I'm just, oh, there it is in verse 5.
This is verse 5?
It says, lead me in thy truth and teach me, for thou art the God of my salvation.
Okay,
Right, 5.
so I missed that, verse 5. I need to back up there, because that ties into what you were talking about with freeing us from our own troubles.
Right.
When we talk about salvation, most people think of that as going to heaven. And there is an aspect of that. But the word has a lot more to it than that. The first time we see the word salvation is in the Old Testament. It's in Exodus. Moses is leading the people of Israel. Pharaoh is hot on their tail. And they come up against the Red Sea. There's nowhere for them to go. They're there by God's plan. So God tells Moses to tell them to prepare themselves for that night. They will see God's salvation. Now, God's not telling them, prepare yourselves because you're all going to die and be in heaven tonight. What He was doing is God was going to rescue them.
Right.
So the term salvation is actually a military term. And you might even see it in some older movies and stuff where someone's being rescued. They'll say, well, this is my salvation, or they are my salvation, or something like that. They're being rescued from something. So, well, let's bring this back into modern day life. Salvation being rescued for something. What does salvation look like for like a drug addict?
Finding
Being
way
freed
out.
from that, being freed from that addiction.
What does salvation look like for a person who's, maybe the person who's caught up in human trafficking? It's not that they need to go to heaven, it's that they need to be freed from that.
Be free from it. Yeah.
Salvation means something different for each person. It's not, it does mean go to heaven, don't get me wrong there.
What does the dictionary say?
It has a lot of terms too. That's right. So yeah, so salvation can look like a lot of different things, because we do need to be rescued from our sins and go to heaven, but we also need to be rescued from things here on earth.
That's right.
Yeah, I think we need to be rescued from our carnal ways of thinking and living. For me.
For me too.
Yeah.
I just want to be saved from my gluttony.
We all got something. We all got something.
Don't get too personal now.
Trying to sign it up here.
Please get sick like I was.
So let's go to verse 20. Guard my life and rescue me. Do not let me be put to shame, for I take refuge in you. So we're talking about the same thing here. Guard my life. Keep me out of these troublous ways. Keep me out of the traps. Keep me from falling into Satan's hands, because we as sheep, we have this tendency to go where we shouldn't go.
That's true.
You see that YouTube video where they free the sheep out of the mud? Yeah, and it
Yeah.
takes him a while. He jumps right back in.
That's funny.
And what happened?
He jumps right back in the mud. after
He's
they
stuck in the
free
ditch, and they lift him out of the ditch, and he goes bouncing off, and then jumps right back in the ditch.
him.
This is an actual sheep or?
Yeah, a real sheep.
Yeah, real
Oh
sheep,
my
yeah.
goodness, boy, that is so.
That's
funny.
kind of like us. We do the same thing. We just jump right back in.
So verse
They did.
21. May integrity and uprightness protect me, because my hope, Lord, is in you. So we always trust in God. And then verse 22, I personally don't get. It's like, all right, and protect Israel too.
It's like
He
last
does this whole
thought.
thing. It's like, oh yeah, we'll protect Israel.
Sometimes I have prayers like that.
That's
Well,
funny.
I'll just remember something at the end.
Yeah, it's
And
like,
I'll
just tag
add
it on
it.
LP.
It's,
Try not to be
it's kind of a
selfish.
footnote.
Yeah. All right, do you have any questions on that? Well, now we're going to see if we can free some other people out of things. You guys are wondering about the cross.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Justin saw the pieces of wood in the back of the car. He goes, "Is this going to be one of those where you need a tarp on the floor?" I said, "Yeah."
Debbie, that's when, yeah, that's when you give yourself
Okay.
some grace.
So what we're going to do,
I was thinking the same thing.
because
Something along the lines.
David trusted in God for everything. He wanted God to protect him from everything. But he also said things like, don't remember my sins. Don't look on me with shame. Now, a lot of us have labels that we put on ourselves or other people have put on us. Negative labels like stupid, slow, whatever. There's a lot of them.
And they change from moment to moment.
Yeah. They say the average person can name like between 5 and 8 times where they've been labeled as something negative.
Is that all?
Yeah.
That sounds kind of low.
So what we're going to do,
That's per day.
Oh, okay, okay.
Come on, Lauren, give us a program.
and I'm not looking to be conservative with these things at all, so you guys use as much as you need. But I want you guys to think about labels. It doesn't have to be one that you have yourself. It can be one that you've thought of someone else, or like that. Something you think someone else has, a friend. And we'll give you some red pens.
You know what? I'm immediately only being harsh to myself.
Whatever you can think
As
of.
many as we want.
Yeah.
As many as you want. What we're going to do is we're going to literally nail them to the cross.
We're gonna.
Oh my God.
We have nails.
Yes, we do.
Oh boy.
Are you serious?
That's what the cross is there for.
Oh, I'm so excited. This is awesome.
You take all those negative labels, all those things that people have said about you, and you're going to give them to God and you're nailed to the cross.
Okay.
And they're not yours anymore. And
It's a commercial.
if you guys run out of ideas for labels, start thinking about maybe a sin that you need to nail up to that cross. You can write that down.
No.
I don't know your
Okay, well,
handwriting,
you know
just to
what?
be fair.
That's true. Yeah.
So a lot of times we put labels on ourselves because we think other people are thinking those of us. And they may not even think that. It's just our own negative thoughts kind of getting in there. And
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
so you take
At least it's not a tactical one.
like that.
Oh my. That's scary.
At least it's only
I
one.
thought about getting like a roofing gun, but I figured I'd be too loud in here.
Here, I only have 2.
Okay.
You only have 2?
Well, I have a lot more, but I don't wanna put them on there.
That's where we let it go.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to let go, and that's between them and God.
If we don't want to let go,
Well, that's not that I don't wanna let go, I just,
Is the shiny new hammer or the rusty old hammer?
I'll take the rest of it.
I'll try your shiny new one.
Tax right there.
Can you take mine, Scott?
Kristen, honey, you shouldn't have any, you're too young.
No,
He's so smart, though.
Oh, I know it
Yes.
is.
kids pick up on stuff too.
Even if it's right in your ear, above your head.
Let's talk about sins that you might be bearing. A lot of times, people have a name or maybe something that happened in their path. They don't want to talk about it. And that's where the devil really does his work. He's really trying to put you to shame and all that, trying to guilt you. So here's the thing. We put these up there, not because we want to show off or want God to see them. We're putting them up there because we're handing them over to God.
Right. Right.
The important thing to remember is Jesus died for all this, right? He covered our sins, right? Justin, I need your hand for a second.
All right.
So all the hate, Jesus' blood covered
oh
that.
my gosh.
Bad thoughts, those are all gone. God does not see that anymore. Because Jesus' blood covers all of it.
Awesome. Oh,
Yay!
We don't have to live here anymore, right? That's one of the things that Jesus did for us by dying on the cross. He took all this on him so we don't have to be here. His blood covered it all.
Oh my goodness, how
But
good
it's
is
pretty.
that? Can I take a picture?
I like
So what?
that color.
May I take a picture?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm glad I
I
got
should
started.
go get my
Started
phone
running.
and take a picture.
Actually, it's my blood running out.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
what
be
you
right
do.
does
back.
look like blood.
Okay, you can set that down. Hopefully that's freeing for somebody to just let that go. You there?
It would be nice.
Yeah, we can get some air going. They're all gonna be feeling really good here for my birthday party.
It's like, I didn't think it was gonna be that kind of party.
So, that's what I have for you guys today.
Okay.
Thank you, like I said, hopefully that was free for you guys, and God bless you. Bye, YouTube.
I like